So I'm Anna Goodwin Accountancy, your business champion. What does that actually mean? It means that I'm on your side, I want my clients to succeed, and I'm there for you, I'll talk to you, I'll communicate with you. As Anita was saying, keeping accurate records, that was what we need to do, but how do you do it? Because I know sometimes I go to courses, I'm busy scribbling away with notes and I think that's great. When I get back into the office, I'm going to do this, I'm going to sort it all out. Yeah, it all sounds great. And I get back to the office and I think, well, I'll put that in the pile and it'll go with the pile of notes from the last course, because really, you're not accountants, you're not bookkeepers, you probably don't like filing and recording. I know sometimes when I'm at a course, I'll say, well, this is a good way to file, this is a good way to record. And I know some people in the audience think, oh, that's absolutely great. Yeah, I can see it, I can do it, that sounds good. But for a lot of people, they just think, it's boring, I don't want to do it. I'm a driving instructor, I'm a computer support person, I'm not actually an accountant. So what do you do? Well, I think a good way to start is think about who you can delegate to, who you can pass that work to. And that hasn't necessarily got to be an accountant or a bookkeeper, it's just got to be somebody who will do what you don't want to do. Whether it's filing, whether it's recording, just pass that over. And also ask for help. Talk to people about it. You know, I've been talking to people today and saying, well, what's your block? What's stopping you from moving forward? And for some people, I know it is accounts. And it is the fact that they've got loads of things unfiled, they don't record anything, they never know what their business is doing. So talk to people, ask for help. It can be an accountant, it can be a colleague. Just brainstorm with people and ask how you can actually move forward. I know with me, going back to the delegation, I now use a VA and I've got secretarial help, and it makes a big difference to me. It stops me from just thinking I need to do it to it actually getting done. I know I was out at clients the other day and one of the people I was with, she said, when my business is bigger, I'm going to use a website designer. When my business is bigger, I'm going to use somebody to file. And I said, your business isn't going to get bigger unless you actually get somebody to do the work, because otherwise it's just going to stay as it is. But also another thing is to actually know yourself, know what you like. Like with me, I know what I like doing and I know what I don't like doing, so I do that, I delegate what I don't like. One of my clients, driving instructor, one of the top driving instructors in the country, he's got a very good name, deals particularly with anxiety in clients. He knows that for him, bookkeeping's not his thing, he doesn't want to waste his time doing it. So what does he do? Every single week, when he pays his cheques into the bank, he puts all of his income, all of his mileage records through my door. When he gets the bank statements, he puts them through the post in my door. Because he knows then, he hasn't got to worry about it. He knows, I'll sort it. Because he's doing what he does best. So yeah, so I would recommend that. And also, a lot of people, I say to them, delegate, do this, and they're like, well, how am I supposed to do that? I haven't got enough money. Well, barter it. There'll always be somebody who needs your skill. Recognise your skill, recognise you're good at what you can do, and find somebody who you can do a share with. I know with me, I've done shares with Alexander Technique teachers, I've done shares with reflexology teachers. I do their tax return, they give me a therapy. And it means they're doing what they want to do, I'm doing what I want to do. So really, just a bit of background, know yourself and get yourself doing something. I think that's the main thing. It's okay for me and Anita to say this is what you need to do, but in reality, if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. So I thought I'd mention a few things that are topical at the moment, really to reinforce why you need to do it. Business record checks. HMRC sort of floated this idea to sort of check the business records to see if your records that you keep are good enough to prepare a tax return. They left it, but now they're picking it back up again. So really, you do need to be thinking, are your records adequate? Because they'll send you a letter They'll follow it up with a phone call, which is about 15 questions that they'll ask you on the phone. If they think that your records then are inadequate, they'll come out and visit, and there is a possibility of a £500 penalty. So of course for us, it's great, because we're thinking, well, that gives clients another reason to keep accurate records, whereas for you, it's not so great because you've got possibility of penalties. Another thing that's come up this year, tax penalties. Started 2011, 11-12 tax year, the tax penalties are a lot stricter than they were. So you need to be aware of that. Now with me, I'm always aim to get my tax returns done earlier. As Jason knows with one of my clients, I'm asking people for information. I shall be asking them later on this month to get their information to me. And I know for a lot of clients, that's when they'll start writing their records up. So when it comes to March 13, they will start then from April 12 going through to March 13. So I'm aware of that, but I still try and get everything done as soon as I can. But sometimes I have got 9 clients. I had about 16 returns that I had to file in January, so that was pushing it a bit. And also, it's very difficult because sometimes then life overtakes you because you've left your tax return too late. Other things get in the way, and this was brought very much to focus this year because I think it was about 23rd of January, I texted one of my clients just to say, I've sent you an email, this is the last part of the tax return, I've got some queries. And she texted back and she said, I'm in hospital and the contractions have started. So I text back and I said, well, you probably don't want to speak to the accountant then. And that's because she left it so late that in between getting a tax return, she was actually giving birth when I'm there in the background saying, I need to file a tax return. So yes, sometimes, you know, life does get in the way. So yeah, beware and get it done. A few pointers for your year-end tax planning. This is a good opportunity now because, of course, we've got a couple of weeks until we get to the end of the tax year. Now, for most clients, I say to them, go to the end of March. But some of them go up right until the end of April, which is the 5th of, end of the tax year, which is the 5th of April. But think about, do you need to buy any equipment now? Because, of course, if you buy equipment now, you will get that full cost of laptop, a car, maybe, depending on the emissions, back this year rather than waiting for a whole tax year. So sometimes if your timing is correct, it can make a massive impact on whether you pay tax this year or whether you don't. So maybe a few minutes thinking about, is there something I can buy this year instead of just waiting a few weeks into next year? Also, the additional rate of tax, highest rate of tax 50%. So can you legitimately employ your spouse in the company? Can they do something for you that you can pay them a wage and therefore not take as much of a wage yourself so that you keep that 50% tax rate as far down as you can? But beware with that the revenue is aware that that goes on. They will class it as an abusive way of using remuneration and tax. So that spouse has to be paid. They've got to have a pay slip, they've got to be paid, and they've got to have correct duties. You know, it's no good if a tax person asks them a question and they've got no idea about the business or what was going on. So they've got to have a duty. Also, if you're a company, payment of bonuses and dividends to directors, think about when that's going to be tax efficient. Is it better to pay it before the end of the tax year or afterwards? All just things to give some thought to. Make sure you've used your individual savings account limit before the end of the tax year, because of course you've still got time to save money tax-free, but only in the next couple of weeks, and then you'll go into your next limit. Cars provided by employer are the tax and the amount of capital allowances relates to your CO2 emissions and your list price. So it's worth thinking, do I need a big flashy car or can I have one that's lower, because then you pay less tax on it, and also if you have a very, very low emission car, you can get all of that cost back immediately. So one of my clients, they bought a car straight away, they bought it for 6,000, they've got 6,000 back against their tax. So it is worth just bearing things in mind. I thought I'd share with you, just to finish off, I like reading business books and management books. I'm forever picking books up, and sometimes I enjoy them and sometimes I don't. And this was a book, I've got it on the stand, I meant to bring it to show you, but there we go, Best Laid Plans. It's called Profit Rocket by Kelly Clifford. He's an accountant, but he's an accountant who's also looking at the marketing of his business and how the marketing and the profitability of the business can come together. And I thought that's really good, because I haven't come across accountants who write like that. And he came up with a profit accelerator formula, and I thought, well, this is interesting, so I thought I'd just share it with you. So to do it, and if anybody wants to look at the book afterwards, come over to me. Number of leads times conversion rate. So you're actually thinking, when I've got a lead from a client, what's the conversion rate on average? That gives you a number of customers. That's multiplied by a number of transactions and your average sales value, which will give you your total revenue. Then when you multiply it by margin, you get your total profit. So of course, any of these can be changed slightly to see how much of a change you would have to make to increasing your number of leads, your conversion rate, to actually increase your bottom line. So really, it goes with what Anita was saying. It's using your figures, having your figures up to date, so you can actually play around with the figures. Whereas if you've got to carry a bag of stuff in the corner that you keep thinking, one of these days I'm going to file that, that's a job I've got to do. You can't use ratios, you can't use management accounts, you can't use cash flow forecasts. All you can do is comply, hopefully, with getting your tax return and year-end accounts done. So yeah, please think on, and any questions, me and Anita will gratefully answer. Thank you very much.